What we're going to cover today is what storytelling is, why it's important, and why we need to focus on it specifically in business, where you can then use that kind of storytelling. So it's one thing like coming across and say, hey, let's tell a story. You need to do more storytelling. And then you're like, what does that even mean? And where can I use it? And where is it appropriate to start telling stories? And then we're going to look at the Abt method. That's going to make sense very shortly, and how we can then go and build your own stories. If you like, and you want to participate live a little bit later on, please just in the chat window, just jot down the name of your business and just one line on what it does, just so I can have a bit of an idea of who's in the room. And I can do some examples a little bit later on, either live with you if you want to take part, or I can just do some hypotheticals based upon your businesses, the names and where they are and all that sort of thing. So we can build those stories around not just the examples I've got, but around your businesses as well. So feel free to chuck that in the chat window. YouTube people, whack it down in the comments and we can come back to you a little bit later on about that. So what is storytelling in the context of what business is? Storytelling, we know, sitting around the campfire, telling stories. The stories are being handed down by our First Nations people from generation to generation. There's tons of different kinds of storytelling. This specific version of storytelling, though, is all about getting a result. It's all about going to get you some kind of result out of some marketing activity you're going to do. So what we want to do is make sure that you're able to then get some kind of value out of this, not just from telling a story, but telling a story that leads to a point of either sale or conversion, somebody making an inquiry on your website, whatever it takes to get something of business value for you. Traditionally, we've been trained in marketing without probably even realizing it to concentrate on a story about features and benefits. So let's just say we were going to buy a new car. We'd go into the car dealer and we'd be presented with a list of features and benefits. Things like the 2021 model has 3 inches more clearance underneath. And that's a feature. The benefit of that is so you won't get that nasty scrape as you pull out of the driveway. So there's a ton of different feature and benefits. Here's what the feature is. Here's what it means to you. And this whole way of selling has been going around for 50, 60, 70 years. Basically, it has a lemon scent. Well, that's great. So it smells more, it smells nicer when you are cleaning your house, or it has no nasty smells in the house afterwards, so that your pets will be safe as they're coming through. So it's looking at a feature and then a benefit, 30% more, so you get more value for money, that kind of thing. But that's sort of all started to fall apart because the world is full of features and benefits. Things like, it's a high definition 72-inch OLED screen, so you can sit back and further and not have to sit on the TV to see the game. And or you can go for something like, the camera on the new Pixel 6 phone. The camera has a magic eraser feature. Well, that's great. What does that mean? Well, so you can remove that random dude with the Speedos from your holiday pics. So the whole idea of going, here's something that we have done to our product or something that's available in our product, and here's what it actually means in your world. The problem is, though, it doesn't necessarily reflect what you really have as a problem in your life. The camera has a magic eraser feature, but I don't have random dudes in Speedos in my holiday pics. In fact, I don't go on a lot of holidays. I travel a lot, but it's mostly for business. So what would the magic eraser feature have for me? Buying a car, the whole idea it's got 3 inches of extra clearance means nothing to me. I live in the city. So having extra clearance to go over really bad rocks and divots and corrugations in rural roads doesn't really matter to me, but it might matter for someone else. The problem with features and benefits is the features and benefits may not, work for that particular person. And there is tons and tons and tons of them. There are too many features and too many benefits being thrown at us constantly in the world. There's the features and benefits of this particular special at McDonald's. There's the features and benefits of this particular new product that you can buy at Woolworths. I bought a new packet of Pringles. The feature is that it's a veggie creation with potato, tomato, mozzarella, and herbs, but I've got nothing in there saying of what it actually means to me. It just means to me that I thought, well, I'll try something different and see if I like it. And it turns out I really don't. We are absolutely flooded with them, and we don't trust advertising anymore. We just simply don't trust what businesses have to say. We see those features and benefits and we go, yeah, I don't see the benefit for me because or really, I'm not really driving a car. I don't really need a new phone. So I'm really, really cynical on, well, whether I can even trust what you're saying. Yeah, sure, it's potato, tomato, mozzarella, and herbs, or the potato chips. I get that. But I very much doubt it's going to taste like bruschetta. It's not going to taste like an Italian meal or something really delightful from what I remember of going to an Italian restaurant. We get cynical. And that means we just start to not trust any of those features and benefits. They just get dumped into our brain and we don't believe a word we're hearing. The other thing is too, for a business though, is that when people don't really believe what you're saying, when you're leading with features and benefits, it's really hard to get noticed, but even harder to be remembered. Because lists of features and benefits, you think about phone plans, okay? Every time you hear Vodafone's got this and Virgin's got that and Optus has got this and Telstra's got that and Belong's got this. And it's like all these features and benefits. And there's Woolworths Mobile and Aldi Mobile and Coles Mobile. Everyone's got a mobile reselling business, including myself. And we've got tons of features and benefits. But who's going to remember which one of those? So to win that game, it ends up taking millions of dollars of advertising, of people constantly putting Telstra and Optus and Vodafone on television, radio, online, in shopping centers, on bus sides, in bus shelters, so that people will somehow remember that little bit of feature and benefit that's going on. So you start to see now that Telstra and banks and insurance companies are starting to move away from the whole thing of, okay, you'll get this, you'll get this, you'll get this, and this is great for you because you'll save money, because you'll get more ease of use, because you'll get more data. They're starting to just tell a story, and you're going to remember that story. NAB Bank, for instance, has gone away from all the features and benefits of home loans and just started concentrating on the feeling, the who we serve and why we serve them, because it's hard to get noticed for your features and benefits, but stories a lot more memorable to us. We go back through Not Happy Jan, the Yellow Pages story from the 1990s, I think early 1990s, back when phone books were a thing. Or we remember back to ad campaigns like Custard and Rhonda with Amy. So we don't remember what they were actually advertising. It was for Amy Insurance. We don't understand what the special or the deal was or the feature that they were putting forward. But we do remember the story of Rhonda visiting Barley meeting Custard, who serves her a hot sunrise drink, and because she's hot like a sunrise, and they end up getting together, and it's a whole great story that comes out. We remember that, but we have no idea what Amy was actually advertising about at the time, other than the fact that they are an insurance company. There's been a real move in marketing to stop us talking about all the solutions we want to give you, all the things we do, and all how wonderful we are, and why we're the best in town, and we've been around for 50 years, and we're locally owned, family-owned business, and actually start talking about the problems that our customers have. And this movement's been largely led by a couple of different authors. First one is Donald Miller. I've done a lot of work with Donald Miller's story brand methodology, and it's no doubt going to be doing another one in the next month about how to build your story brand, which is kind of like a more advanced version of what we're doing here today. And that's a really fun process, and something you can get on the Digital Solutions program as well. It's where you're making your message so clear that people understand, and not only understand, they'll listen, because it's about them. It speaks to their life and their experience as well. The second person who does this is the one I mentioned earlier, which is Park Howell, who wrote Brand Witchery, which is how to wield the story cycle system to craft spellbinding stories for your brand. It's actually a really, really simple methodology he uses, but of course there's 100,000 different variations of it that can become much less dry than the formula you're going to learn on its own today. His business is called the Business of Story, and I suggest you go to the Business of Story website and have a bit of a look around and see what it's all about, because it is they have services, but they've also got a lot of resources there that can help you out with writing better business stories. So how this whole story thing works, what is it all about? How do we piece it all together to form our story, or some story? Because you're going to have more than one story. It's not going to be just your story. It's going to be your customer's story. And for as many customers you have, you're going to have different stories for them as well. These stories you'll pull out of your hat when you need to Talk to them in a sales scenario, when they're asking about your products and services to get more information, when you're forming a TV ad, a radio ad, a newspaper ad, a flyer that you're writing in Canva. It could be your website and the words that you're having on your website. To weave those stories in helps you to win those sales far more effectively than just simply listing all your features and all your benefits and your pricing. So what this process does, it takes marketing. It starts like this. Our latest beard oil creation, Pineapple Express. We have sold our first batch over the weekend, so made a fresh batch today. That has nothing to do with the customer. It's their latest beard oil collection. It's called Pineapple Express. They've sold our first batch on the weekend. They made a fresh batch today. Whoop-de-doo. I don't know how that has anything to do with the customer at all. I sit there and go, well, good on you. So what? And you turn it into something a bit more like this. Combs are here and just in time for your summer of leisure. Maybe you think your beard won't know the difference between the office and the resort, but while you're sipping on your Mai Tais and doing nonstop cannonballs into the pool, your beard is taking a beating. Look, it's totally cool to let yourself relax while holidaying somewhere tropical, but for goodness sake, at least keep a pocket comb with you to clean the remnants of that seafood sampler out of your beard and mustache. Wow, that's a story. And that's just taken it out of here's something all about us to here's something all about you. And if you're not necessarily going on a tropical holiday, or for my friends in Darwin and in the top end on this call, you're probably going, well, we live this life. We know exactly what you're talking about. It's like eating a burger at the pub and it gets all through your beard. That's what I'm starting to talk about. You're starting to imagine it. The story's told in such a way that it relates to you at some point in your life when you go, yeah, actually, I remember that time where my husband got the food caught in his beard, or in Jimmy, who's on this call, I can see that time he got food in his beard, and it's like no one told him until late in the night, and he's been walking around with half a burger hanging out of his beard for the whole evening. If you've got a beard and you're a man, you've got stories like this. You remember this. So these stories go into your world, or at least into a world that you can imagine being part of, rather than here's our new oil. We made a fresh batch because we sold out. Yay for us. So why do we do this? What is the point of the stories? Is there an actual point? Do we really even need it? Well, yeah, we do. The point is that stories have a deeper engagement with people reading them and seeing them on television, and they become part of the story of their life. That deeper engagement is there because it's about me as a consumer. I understand what's going on. I get it. Oh, yes, I can relate to that. I feel like that's something that I can see happening in my life. It then gives us a reason and a context for use, rather than here is a beard oil sitting on a shelf or sitting on a table with a photo of it. We've taken a whole different approach on the other one, where we're saying, okay, there's a context for this, taking at least a comb. I never thought of owning a comb. I haven't owned a comb. Well, I don't have hair, so I don't need a comb, but I do have a beard. So that comb is like, oh, of course, you had to brush out that rubbish from or the salt from jumping into the ocean, or the sand from being at the beach or being in my beard. And it's, drawing out the moisture from my beard and from my skin and giving me problems with my skin. Yeah, okay, now I've got a reason and I've got a context for beard oil, which I never had before. I've never wanted beard oil. I've never required beard oil, but suddenly I have a need for beard oil because I can imagine now in my life a reason and a context for why I'd need it. It also solves a real world problem. Now, this is just a small one. I know that, dealing with your beard and the way that it doesn't cope with the environment as well as what you might think it does. It's a small problem, a very first world problem, I know, but it does solve a problem that really is happening. Now that I've been made aware of it, I now know it's a problem. And these stories can be funny. They can be, something that gets your attention. They can be attention grabbing and shocking, or they can be clever word plays. They can be all sorts of things that enable you to get and maintain attention. So someone gets that reason and gets that context for why they would want to use that product, or why they want to use you as a service or you as a consultant. And the beauty of these stories are because they relate to someone directly, or they relate to something that they can at least imagine themselves being in part of, or they know someone who is, it's never, ever boring. It doesn't have to be, because it's a story. Stories are great. We live by stories. We talk about the one that got away when we're fishing. We talk about, that time when we were in ballet as a kid, and, we were the one little girl in the ballet troupe who just didn't seem to be able to get that pivot. And then one day we got it. And the story is fascinating because it's overcoming an obstacle. And that's one of the things we're going to see shortly in this format. that helps you to see how to overcome those obstacles. So where do you use this storytelling? Where can you take that story we're going to make up very shortly and put it into play? What are you going to do with it? What we're going to do with it is apply it to any brand, any product, any service. And that's why I was asking you if I know Elizabeth's put up her details of what she does. Please invite you to do this because I want to do 2 or 3 of these. So tell me in the chat window, what your business is and what you do, just in this brief way, and we'll come up with a story in that particular context and formula we're going to show very shortly. Like I said, this suits just about any brand, any product, or any service, even if the service or the product is you as a person. That's kind of how I work. You can use it in social media. LinkedIn is, anyone who follows my LinkedIn would know I'm a storyteller. I love to tell a story. There's another person who, there's tons of them, tons of people I follow who tell great stories on social media. One of them is Adam Drake. He works for, he has his own not-for-profit called Balanced Choices and works with kids in the jails in the Northern Territory and in South Australia, and helps them to make better choices in life. And the stories he tells to bring across an example of what the work is he does are captivating. They're heartwarming. I've actually cried at a couple of them when he's caught up with people from many years later and seeing what they've been able to achieve in their life and what they've been able to do as a result of the work that he and his people have done with these young men, usually who are incarcerated at young ages. LinkedIn is a fantastic place to tell stories because you've got a fair bit of room to tell it, but it's limited. So you don't have lots and lots of space, but you have a fair bit of space. Instagram is less oriented towards text stories, but you've still got room in there. Our beard oil people who did such a good job before, they did that on Instagram. So that was a really great place for them to handle the ability to tell a story, but also present a particular product that story related to the point where the story was so good, it made the product photo almost disappear from you. You didn't even notice it. Twitter gives you a lot of characters to work with these days to tell a short story. That's still a short story on Twitter. Same with Facebook. We don't have much attention span when it comes to Facebook. So we need to tell that story really quickly. And we have an amazing way to do that with this way coming up. Then video. We are seeing incredible stories being told on TikTok and Instagram Reels and on YouTube Shorts, which is the YouTube version of stories and short video that's being told in 60 seconds, where little stories are being told by people who are reporting on things they see, things they watch, solutions they've found to the different things, life hacks. A lot of them on TikTok tend to be like in reverse, so they're fake. But that's almost like a genre of its own, where you're faking life hacks and ways to get common problems solved with common things. So that sort of thing in social media is pretty massive at the moment. Storytelling is a very large part of what TikTok and Instagram Reels and Facebook are these days. And if you're just simply putting out a message once a week saying, hey, we just got some hay in, come and buy our hay, then you're probably not going to sell as much hay as you could without actually getting the ability to inspire people who normally wouldn't buy hay to suddenly find a new reason to buy hay. Because your regular customers, your people who want to feed horses and that, they're going to come anyway because there's not many other options for them. But if you find a way to get other people interested in hay, well, hey, you've got a whole lot of other options for customers. Email is a fantastic way to tell stories, particularly through email newsletters. You can continue stories in an ongoing way. You can start a series. You can do that on social media as well. Do a series of stories that are all about trying to get that extra thing out of what it is you sell. And to tell a story, you might think, well, I don't have much of a story because I just produce a fruit, or I don't have much of a story because all I do is this career coaching thing, and I don't know what my story is because all we do is dig holes and smash up things and demolish them and prepare ground for stuff, or recycle this. And every single business has a story to tell. It's just a matter of finding a formula that drags that out. And live presentations are a great way to tell a story because when you're in front of someone at a trade show, at a booth, and you could sit there and go, well, I could have a talk to you about all the things we do, or I could just hand you this leaflet that tells you anyway. That's not what networking is. It's not what sales is. Sales is made from stories. It's about going, I met this guy last week and he was having trouble with wanting to be able to, let's take one of your examples. Photography of weddings, birthdays, and family portraits. So I met this guy last week who went to his son's 21st birthday, and he didn't really have a photographer ready for it, and just friends taking photos, and they were messy, and there was red eye everywhere, and it was blurry, half of them, because they're all drunk, and it was just a mess. And it just would have been nice to have had a photo that was just nice of my son, to be able to remember his 21st by, and for him to remember his 21st when he doesn't care now naturally, but at 30, 40, 50, 60, he's going to care about that photo. He's going to want to go, oh, geez, I wish I had not been such a drunk idiot and actually got a decent photo of myself when I was 21. And it just so happens that you're the photographer who happens to be able to solve that for them. So it's like, well, you get a photographer and you don't even need them for an hour, just to get some nice photos before everything gets rough, before everything gets silly. So you've got those memories to last a lifetime, and they're going to be in such a way that they're focused on the person, the experience, the memories, rather than people doing selfies and going, yeah, putting their two fingers up and or their middle fingers up in the case of 21-year-olds, I'm guessing. So that's for live presentations and talking to people. It's a fantastic way of dragging that out. So I'm not going to drag out the story behind stories, because honestly, it can be kind of long-winded telling stories. You think about the stories, you think of that uncle at Christmas who just tells stories all the time, or your aging dad who tends to tell stories all the time, or that friend who she just, tells stories and you don't know what to believe and what not to believe because she's always trying to sell some network marketing scheme. Well, beauty is this Abt method that the Park Howell has actually formed, is a really good way of getting that story out in a short, sharp, quick way. So the Abt method is about getting the problem and the solution explained in one short, sharp statement that connects with someone emotionally and then invites them to engage further with you, whether that's engaging further with your social media, whether that's engaging further with you to call you or email you or book you, or whether it's to talk more with you as well. The problem and the solution are what the people are all about, because they have a problem, they want a solution, even if they don't know it's a problem and there's a solution for it yet. When they see it and have it presented in that short, sharp statement that gives them a chance to connect because it's about them, then they're more likely to come in and want to find out more and to learn more about whatever the problem, whatever the solution is that you're providing to the problem they may be having. This is based on Park Howell's Business of Story Abt method, so I'm not going to take credit for it. This is all about him. ABT stands for and, but, therefore. These three words are at the core of what we're going to do with forming our own stories. And, but, and therefore. So how does that work? Well, and starts off with the idea of stating what your potential customer wants and why it's so important to them. So when we look at that, we go, well, okay, I understand you and what is at stake in your business. That's what you're essentially saying to your potential customer. I get what you're after, and I understand how important it is to you for your life, for your business, for your family, whatever is important to you. I understand that, and I understand what is at stake. What is the importance of it? So we can look at that in terms of how it's done poorly. So I'll just play this little video. Hopefully the sound will come through and you'll be able to hear it.
I can't find my keys.
I can't find my Game Boy. I can't find the remote.
When you're running late and you can't find your keys, and the TV remote has vanished in the breeze. Does the shoulder strap of your car cut into your shoulder? Is your shoulder strap too tight and annoying? You think a clean windshield is too much of a stretch. If you think a clean windshield is just out of reach.
Millions of women like yourself suffer from a poor night's rest. Sleeping on your side without proper breast support can be a major culprit.
Oh my God, this infomercials are infamous for doing this. I don't know where that all came out because my microphone sometimes just tends to drop in and out a little. So what it's basically saying there is there's a whole lot of solutions being proposed to problems that no one really has. Honestly, it's not that hard to clean your windscreen. Honestly, there are ways you can get around being able to support, well, I've got a pretty big wobbly bits up here now myself, so to support your wobbly bits. And there's ways to do this. They're not huge life-shaking problems. They're trying to create a problem that no one has. And that's the problem when you come with these kind of products, is you're starting to look at people who have got problems with holes in their yards, making boring cakes, not keeping food fresh, and struggling with cling wrap, all those kind of problems. But nobody's having those problems. Those problems simply don't exist for anybody. So what we're stuck with is a whole bunch of products and services that are designed for people who don't have that problem. Let's got to find a way to get this actually off. There we go. Come on, back we go. There's a problem when you embed a video into your presentation. It doesn't always work quite the way you want it to. There we go, back we go, back we go. My apologies for this. It usually goes so much more smoothly. And we're back. So what you need to do when you're presenting this, when you're looking for the it's got to be a real problem happening to real people in the real world. It's not something you're just going to make up and saying, you know how you just wish that you had a better smelling essential oil for your life to make yourself feel better? No one's asking that question. No one's asking you to solve that problem for you. What we're doing is presenting a real problem that's happening to real people in a real way in the real world that they can relate to. It has to be something that's real to them, that they can literally relate to and imagine happening in their lives, like men with beards, or women who have men in their lives with beards, or friends who have mates with beards. You can imagine what they go through in some of the scenarios that come up with guys who have big bushy beards. So let's start off with it. The problem we're trying to solve is you want to make more money. The and statement in here, you want to make more money and finally quit that job you hate. So we're stating the problem and what's at stake. They want to quit the job they hate. You want to make more money and finally quit that job you hate. So that's the first little line of telling a story. This is how short a story will be. Now we go to the but. Here's what's important to you, but it's not happening for you. This is where you literally pull the rug out from under them and say, look, we know you want all that, but you're not getting it because there's reasons. And those reasons are something we're going to explain, what the obstacle is. And in the hero's journey that Joseph Campbell, who wrote A Heart of Darkness, wrote, there's a hero's journey that every truly great story goes through. Every truly successful movie presents it as well, from Star Wars to Eat, Pray, Love to Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. It always follows this hero's journey. Eventually, the hero comes up against some kind of obstacle. This is where we're going to present the obstacle. Now, the obstacle is why they don't have what they want. The obstacle is what's stopping them. It's the thing they have to overcome in order to get what they want. But they don't necessarily know what it is until we tell them. So let's just say in our scenario, you want to make more money and finally quit that job you hate. And that's supposed to say, but you've got to have that job to pay the bills and you don't know where to start. So my slide was a bit wrong there, but you don't know where to start. So you want to make more money and finally quit that job you hate, but you don't know where to start. So that not knowing where to start pulls the rug out from them and doesn't get them what they want. In the therefore, we say there's an obstacle in front of you. You don't know where to start. Therefore, you need to do this. You need to do something. So that something is a tool, or it's the answer, it's a solution, it's a product or a service that somehow will give them what they need to get over that obstacle. So if we now go back to our developing story, you want to make more money and finally quit that job you hate, but you don't know where to start. Therefore, you need this webinar to learn how. So we're talking the and statement. They finally quit that job they hate. That's what they want. But this is what's stopping them. Therefore, this is what they need in order to get over that. This is the basis of your story for business. Now, it can be as simple as just these statements. There's 100,000 variations on that. You don't have to use and, but, therefore, but that flow of the and, but, therefore is very satisfying to our limbic system. It's very satisfying to our crocodile brain, the one that helps us to understand that we need to go from here to get a solution, a successful story that makes sense to us. So the formula that we're looking at to do this, and this is where we're going to very shortly do some of yours. The formula is you want something and you want, and this is what it means to you. but there's a problem in the way. Therefore, you have to get something by doing something. So let's put it in terms of my two businesses before we hit to yours. In Clickstarter, you want to spend less time on social media and more time on growing your business, but the social media has to be done. Therefore, you have to get a social media method that works by watching this webinar. So that's telling a story that says to most small businesses who just want to spend less time doing social media because they don't particularly like it, and they want to spend more time doing the things they think are really going to grow their business, but you have to get it done. So sorry, you can't get away with it. You still have to do it. Therefore, you just need to get a better way of doing it. And you can get that by watching this webinar. In my mobile phone reselling and NBN reselling, you want to spend less on your phone plan and get more data than you have now, but you don't have time to hunt for a deal. Therefore, you need someone to find the best deal for you and get you connected fast. Now, in the most basic of layouts of this, it could be in, okay, so you want to spend less on your mobile phone plan. We all do. We're all paying way too much. And wouldn't it be nice? We've got a bit more data and a bit more service and an Australian call center. Well, you don't have the time to be hunting around for all this. You can get people who can search for your insurance. You can get people who can search for a better home loan. Why not use someone who can help you get a better mobile phone deal? You need someone who can get you that better deal and get you connected fast. And that's what Cellular One does. So that's then telling a story that you can bang, say something, bang, do this one, and just come up with new ideas and new stories all along the way. So it's a bit of a way for you to be able to then bring forward those ideas of what's in it for your customer, but you don't start with what's in it for your customer. You start with the problem they want to solve. In this case, they want to spend more or less on their phone plan and get more data. That's what it means to them, is to get more data. So then we start to go, what is next? I think we've got a whole lot of messages coming through. Okay, I think there's someone who's just like spamming our feed here. So I'm just going to remove that person. Thank you very much. How it happens everywhere, doesn't it? Okay, let's go back to something that makes sense on this feed. We're going to start to build your stories. So we're going to follow these formulas. Now, yes, it's cringy in the way it is, but once you break it down and you take it, you're not just saying you want this and this, but this, therefore this. You tell a story that makes more sense, in that you get the message across of what the problem is and the solution is without having to sound like it's just a formula. The formula just helps you to get things in the right order, so you're able to do that. So let's give it a try. Now, I will first up look at, I'll go back in order of where they came from. So Elizabeth was our first person to come up with what that is. So in your case, Elizabeth, it's personal styling and branding services, and also shoes and fashion. So I'm just going to concentrate on one thing at a time, which is personal styling and branding services. So personal styling and branding services, if you don't mind, Elizabeth, that I actually bring you on for a chat so you can explain a little bit more to me about what that actually means and what it means to you and where you think is the importance to your clients of having this kind of service. Hey, Elizabeth, thank you for coming on.
Hey, Dante, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. So the personal styling, the typical client would hate shopping. They hate going into the stores. They don't know what suits them. And the problem I solve is I explain how the clothes fit their specific silhouette in order to accommodate all their platforms.
Yep. Okay. So what then do you think is a problem, or necessarily, or something that's missing from their day or their life that someone would really be looking at solving?
They want to look great. They want to feel great.
Yep. Okay. You want to look great and you want to feel great. So there's your and statement. But what's the problem they have to come across? What's the obstacle there?
They still have to go shopping.
Yep. But you're the one who's going to have to go shopping. Let's face it, you're not the best person at picking these things out on yourself on your own, right?
Yeah.
So then you have to get a personal shopper who can help you to put together your own personal style so you can form that great personal brand that you've been looking to do all these years. So that you want and the but and the therefore are kind of set in stone, but then you can massage those around. So you're saying, wouldn't it be great to be able to just, just get the shopping done and look great and feel great and not have all the hassles of actually going shopping. And I'm with you, Riley. I hate shopping. I hate shopping for clothes. I hate going to the supermarket. If someone can do it for me, it's just for me like the biggest waste of time ever is shopping. I can't stand going shopping. For those of you who love it though, oh my goodness, you guys are amazing. So I look at that and go, well, yeah, you want to look good and you want to feel good, because when you look good, you do feel good. But, you know, time, hating shopping, not liking crowds, and it's coming to Christmas. The shopping centers are already starting to get absolutely nuts. I went to Office Works earlier. Holy crap. I tell you what, it was crazy. So yeah, you have to get someone who can do that for you. Well, just so happens that we have this shopping service and this personal styling service. They can put together the style for you with a bit of a talk to you, a bit of a consultation to see what it is you like, what it is you want to be able to do, where you want to go. And yeah, once you know that that's there, then you just sign up for a subscription with us, and we can do this for you every month if you like, and you never have to shop again. So that's the kind of conversations you can have that follow that guideline, but don't necessarily have to go, you want great clothes to make you look and feel good, and this, but this. It doesn't have to be that robotic. It can sound really, and someone actually called it like a bit cheesy earlier on. And yeah, it is a bit cringy. So it works, but yeah, it's a little bit cringy, and it means that you also, you know, it does sound cringy when you do it like a robot, but when it becomes a natural conversation, you're just thinking in terms of what's the problem they want to solve, and why is that problem important for them to solve? But what stops them from solving it? Oh, well, they just need this by doing this. And it becomes a really easy conversation to have. It's something which I like leave up when I'm having a one-to-one Zoom call. I actually have "and button therefore" written up at my desk on a little post-it note. So it makes me go, when I'm trying to get an idea for them, I go through the "and but therefore." So it could be a really useful little thing for you to do as well. Does that sort of make sense in your context?
Definitely. Thank you very much. Perfect.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you coming on there, Elizabeth. Now let's see if anyone's going to be terrified for coming out. Let's say Donald, because I did a really like hatchet job on yours earlier. So Donald, I might just, if you're still online, which I don't think you are, no, he's dropped out. Then we go to Rosie is next. Hopefully, Rosie, you are willing to come on and have a bit of a chat. So I'll just allow you to talk. G'day, Rosie. How are you doing? See if that microphone works. Maybe.
Hi, can you hear me, Dante?
Yeah, now I can hear you. All right, Rosie. So from Safe Business Systems NT, helping with this. So you're in Alice Springs, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm at a little
Yes, I remember
so if I
meeting
drop
you.
out,
That's all right. I remember meeting you down at October Business Month. So just for the
That's
sake
right.
of, just for the sake of other people who don't know the background of your business, just let us know what it is you actually do.
Okay, so I work with small to medium large businesses, and what I do is actually help them with managing workplace safety in the business. So helping them understand what they need to do under legislation and working out some solutions for them.
Fantastic. So what is the problem that the person who is who would come to you for you to solve that problem? What is the problem they're mostly having?
Time.
Yep. And
they don't understand what they actually need to do.
Okay, so you want a bit of time back because all this admin and safety stuff is taking up a ton of your time, and you're not really entirely sure you're even doing it right. But you know, you still got to do it because this is workplace health and safety. You can't escape it. You have to deal with this, right? So,
yes.
What do they do? What do they got to get? What's the step they take?
Well, what I talk about is identifying what they actually do in their business. So whether they're chopping down trees, or are they using mobile plant that moves around a site, or are they sitting in an office? So the first thing I've got to look at is what their risks actually are in the places they work in.
So if I wanted to make that a concise message just for maybe social media or something like that, I would say something like, you want a safe workplace without all the admin that's going to completely consume your time. And that time really needs to be spent elsewhere anyway, because you've got to grow a business. But WHS has to be done. Safety systems has to be followed. You have to do this stuff. It is the law. So what you need to get is someone like Rosie from Safe Business Systems NT to work out what you actually need, work out what you need to be doing with your input, so that you can then get these systems in place, so it's not taking you tons of admin, tons of time, and you can get on with the business of doing business. So then it becomes more of a statement rather than you just saying, you need me because this is what I do. It gets into what's their problem? What's the actual problem that they have? And sometimes we get started in businesses. Now you've come from this background, so you know exactly where the need was. You've done your own research on this. A lot of people though don't do what you did, Rosie. they start a business because they really want to do something.
Okay.
And they don't find
Yeah.
that they find they started a business that didn't actually have a reason to exist. My first business failed because of that. I created a solution to a problem no one had. So this is where you put that test and go, before I start this new business, put it against a test, the and, but, therefore test. If you cannot explain what it is in someone's life they want solved and why it's so important to them and the obstacle they have to overcome and why they should use you, then it makes it really hard to go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have started that business. But you haven't got that problem. You actually have all the reasons there. So hopefully, does that make a bit more sense to you?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Rosie. I really appreciate you having a go. No, it's sometimes these things can be a little bit hard to work at, so to really understand how they work. Now, what I'll now do is bring up Eileen, who is next up. So Eileen, I do know very well. So it's just great to see you online.
Thank you, Dante. It's great to be here too.
Now, normally we're having fun talking about a resort in Bali, but it's a bit different this time, is it?
Just a little bit different. Bali's in mothballs at the moment until we get to travel again. And when that happens, I'll talk to you about storytelling for getting, although I don't think it'll be hard to get people to go overseas when we can. So this time, I'm actually gone back into work with my husband's business, which is civil construction and demolition. And my role is to help bring on board a whole new aspect to the business, which is recycling of construction and demolition waste. Right. How do I make that interesting to people, Dante?
Yeah. Waste. That's always an interesting one, isn't it? So I guess we have to go on, what's the problem that someone needs solving when they want to be able to deal with construction waste?
Okay, so it's a pretty big problem because it's one of the biggest sources of waste and landfill. Creates a really big problem, particularly for governments, local councils, and other businesses. It can be very expensive to get rid of waste and fills up landfill really quickly. So we're developing some solutions to actually turn construction and demolition waste, particularly concrete and asphalt and things like that, into a usable product that can go back into the construction industry.
Right. So why is it so important to the customer who could be using this to solve this problem?
Well, it could be partly, I guess, an environmental aspect of being socially conscious. When we're looking at reducing waste in the world, there's a big movement around that. Plus, it can be really cost effective for them to recycle waste. They won't have enormous tip fees, and they may end up with, they can end up with a usable product that they could reuse on other projects, or sometimes, say, if you do a demolition project, there's often civil works or building works that come afterwards, and those products can be used, say, for roadways, paths, drainage, and all sorts of other infrastructure works.
So what's the obstacle that stops someone doing this for themselves right now?
Well, they wouldn't have the equipment to do it. So it's specialised equipment to be able to actually do the processing.
So if we were to put this together in a story, is that you want to approach your construction and demolition business in a much more environmentally friendly way and make better use of that waste that currently is just filling up landfill all around Australia. And it's important to you because, number one, it's helping save the environment. Secondly, it's also helping you to save money. But the problem is you don't have the equipment to do this and you wouldn't even know where to start. So you need to get in touch with someone who does do this, who does have the equipment, who is able to take you through this journey to help you, number one, help your environmental credentials, because that always helps you sell well, and The second thing, you're a business, you want to save money. So that's when your story becomes about the thing that you want to solve for someone. And that's why I always go, that has to be a real problem from a real person in the real world. Because if we start to make it up, we sound like an infomercial. Sick and tired of those seatbelt straps cutting into your shoulder all the time. Like, honestly, we don't really have that problem, and there's already something to solve it, which is a little padding. I've got it on my one that actually saves it. So you don't want to come across as someone who's trying to solve that problem that doesn't exist. This is a problem that exists because just about all states and territories are giving incentives for construction companies to do better. And there's green ticks, and there's environmental ticks, and there's ISO ticks, and all that sort of thing that come into being able to better look after the environment around you. So the story becomes less about you want to save money and the environment because it's important to save money and the environment, but you don't know where to start. Therefore, you need to talk to Eileen. It doesn't have to be that robotic. It can be a much more flowing story like we just told. Does that make a little bit of sense to you? Does that sound like something you might be able to build from the and button therefore?
Absolutely. That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah, hopefully you can get the recording of this on YouTube later so you can take that down and use it.
I will.
You can send me the check later on. Thank you very much, Eileen. So that was, I guess, I've got room for another couple of them, I think. Let me see. We had Mark next, which was for My Career, My Move. So Mark, I'll just bring you forward and we'll have a chat as well. G'day, Mark. I feel like I'm on a radio station here.
Hey, Dante, how are you?
Long time listener, first time caller, something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So tell me a little bit more about My Career, My Move.
So My Career, My Move came out, it was given birth from our corporate career coaching practice. So we have a practice of corporate career coaching for individuals, leadership coaching, and career transition and outplacement for people who've obviously been retrenched from a role. And we were constantly being asked to help people on a personal career journey where they were either a graduate returning to work after a period off, so typically a return to work parent, or wanting to do something completely new with their life. And so we created a copy of all the corporate IP that we use in the work that we do in a company, in a business-to-business space, and rebranded it all into everyday person language, and then built an online learning portal as well, let people either log on and get content only, or to work with a person to help them who we call a Sherpa.
Right, just like a guide. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So that ties in very much the story brand thing of the guide through the process, and you're literally being a guide in what you're doing. So in the most robotic language you can do, you want a new career, and it's important to you to do something that you love, but you don't have the skills necessarily or the certifications to get there. So you need to use a service that gives you those skills and those experiences so you can go out and be a skilled worker in that area. So that's the driest way we could say it, right?
Right, yeah.
But the story could be more like, you want some satisfaction in your life. You want to feel good about going to work the next day. You want to be able to, wake up in the morning and go, yes, I want to do this job. And it's important that you're able to do it, because let's face it, you can't get through this life without earning money somewhere. But you haven't really got the skills because you've been away from the workforce for a while. It takes a lot to bring up kids, and a lot more than you thought it was going to take up. So therefore, you have to do something that's going to help you to be able to be a mum, but also get the skills you need to get back in the workforce. So you do that by getting in touch with My Career, My Move. And you start to see the story of how that specifically gets into someone's head of going, yes, even if I'm not a mum, I've been away from the workforce. Or it could have another story. And you don't have to have just one story, Mark. You can have multiple stories. Like you said, it could be mums who've been out of the workforce for a while. What's some of the other people that you would be helping out?
We get a lot of inquiry at a graduate level. So people that are finishing uni or even finishing high school and going into work, and not quite sure how to even go about applying for a job. Yeah.
So there you go. For as many different people you have, your custom avatars, if you like, there's a story that hits them, and it'll hit them on all the fields. We don't have to necessarily go through the same experience as someone to feel empathy for that story. Like I felt empathy for Jan in the the phone book ads from the Yellow Pages ads from the 90s, because everyone's made a mistake at work once and go, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, and we felt what Jan was feeling. But then some of us, we look at the old telecom ads where people were calling people overseas that hadn't heard for years, and that could be very, very much for now, family and friends we haven't seen interstate or overseas. So just because I don't have friends who I particularly have a great deal of care for overseas doesn't mean I can't feel for those who have got that problem and then go, oh, I've got friends who have that. I can actually tell them about this particular business because I heard a story that really resonated with something that what my friends are going through. So you could, because you're essentially like we all are, we're all dealing with people, and we're all some way touching people and understanding that there are people at the other end that are making not just logical decisions about what to do next, whether it's their career or whether it's getting advice for mining, or people who are looking to start a new business. They're still people. They're not just robots looking for logical advice. They're actually looking for a reason to choose you to be their guide.
Right.
So does that make a bit more sense to you, Mark?
Yeah, it does. And I think we need to do a bit more work around those particular customer avatars, because there is a story for each of those.
Oh, absolutely. And they're very, very clear. You've actually got very clear ideas of who they are. It probably just needs a bit of work on just going, okay, give them a name, give them an age, give them likes and dislikes based upon what you've seen in your business already, the people you've already been serving, both here and before you went into this particular business. It'd be fun. That'd be a really fun thing to get into. I'd love to. I'd love to be part of that journey. It'd be awesome. Thanks, Mark.
Great, thank you.
I reckon we've got time for another one. It's 6:23 in my part of the world. So I'm going to have a chat to Karen, who I do know, who is a farmer. So Karen, if you don't mind, I'm going to bring you up to have a chat. Let me see, allow to talk. Here we go. G'day, Karen. How you doing? If she's there, allow to talk. I'll try that again.
Hello.
There we go. Now we've got you.
How are you, Dante?
Now, for the sake of those people who don't know you, just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yes, we grow, we live on the Sunshine Coast in the beautiful Glasshouse Mountains, and my husband and I have a tropical fruit farm. We grow custard apples, lychee and dragon fruit. But our showcase fruit that we grow is a new variety of custard apple called Pink Splush. It fruits out of season, and it also has a pinkish orange skin colour, which is quite unique. Most other custard apple varieties are green skinned. Yes, so we're picking at the moment.
So for those Yanella Farms, Yanella Farms, what is something that Yanella Farms solves for someone? What's a problem out there that's actually solved by what you do?
Well, I guess for consumers, it's
So I just had a drop out.
having fruit out, so there's having bonus for consumers. From September to December, there's no other custard apples growing in the world of our fruit, because we're the only growers of that fruit.
So the problem could be there's a demand for custard apples out of season that you can fulfill. So why is it important for maybe a seller to have custard apples out of season?
Because it allows more choice for the consumer during the summer, during the hot summer, where you normally would eat fruit. Custard apples is traditionally a winter fruit, but ours would be competing and be available during that hot summer period. That's
really interesting. So you've already answered the but, which is what they have to overcome is, well, we want to be able to sell these, but we can't sell them over the summertime when people want to eat fruit, because that's not when they're harvested. That's not when they're available. So therefore, the answer to that then is to get in touch with you to see what you're able to do in terms of supply and how to actually get in touch with them. So to tell a much nicer story than that, and I know we've already done some story brand work with you, so this is kind of like a bit of this too. You as a fruit seller want to be able to sell custard apples, in the time when people actually want them, when they're actually wanting to try new things and they're out and about and they're wanting refreshing fruits and they're eating a lot more fruit and smoothies and all kinds of things. And it's important to you because you want to be able to sell that choice for as long through the year as you possibly can. But custard apples are a winter fruit. They don't fruit in summer when people want to actually eat them. So you'll have to get in touch with someone who actually sells custard apples that do fruit out of season. That's Yanella Farms, and you can get in touch with them through the website. So that then
Perfect.
tells a story that appeals to the people who you sell to, which is not the consumer. You're selling to markets, really, aren't you?
Yeah, market, but we do want to delve into the consumer, direct to
Yep.
consumer as well.
Yep.
So
Fantastic.
perfect.
Yeah, so that makes a bit
Lovely.
more
Thank you,
sense, I
Dante.
guess.
Yeah.
They're going to be really hard to come up with these because everyone's saying, oh, you need to know what your story is. You need to be able to sell your story, but nobody's telling you how to form the story. This is just the beginning, though. And that's one thing I do want to make clear. I was hoping I could get to Jimmy and Trevor. I think Trevor dropped off and on there. So sorry if I missed out on that, but there is a way forward for you. I can sort of help you out a bit more with all this stuff. And it's through this digital solutions program, which I know that Karen's already on. So we're already working together on that. If you want to build your story and you want to dig more into this storytelling thing with a guide through this program, if you haven't been a part of it before, it's $44 basically for 3 1-hour sessions with myself or our many different advisors we've got across Western Australia, Queensland, and the Northern Territory. Don't go to New South Wales, we're not there. And it gets you access to another 4 hours of these workshops and webinars as well. But just a little secret there, it's not just 4 hours. You can watch as many as you like. You don't even have to be part of the program to watch the workshops and webinars, but to work with an advisor one-on-one like myself or the others, $44. So just register at businessstation.com.au. If you haven't done that already, let me know that you can reach out to me on the email address that's on this next screen at dante@clickstarter.com.au, or reach out on LinkedIn. I'm connected to a lot of you on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. If you've already used up all your hours in the past, let's have a chat anyway, because I might be able to find a way to get you at least another hour so we can get that sort of storytelling thing back into focus for you. So thank you to everyone who shared. I really appreciate you taking time out of your evenings, because I know, you've got things to do, you've got food to eat, you've got, I don't know, you're like me, you've got series on television to watch on Netflix. Much better things to be doing with your time. So thank you so much for spending some time with me, and do feel free to drop into YouTube and look up my name, and you'll be able to find this in about 2 hours time. We're ready to go. So thank you, and have an amazing week.